Alright, everyone. Welcome to chapter 5. It is the initial planning. Okay? So, you know that famous saying, even the longest journey begins with a single step. Well, in project management, that first step is actually critical. Okay? So think about it. You wouldn't build a house without blueprints, right? So today, we are going to explore how to create that essential roadmap for your projects. So we will dive into three key principles. The first principle is how your planning approach would actually determine your project success. Next, why knowing when to stop a project is just actually as important as starting a new one. And how making your process actually visible keeps everyone on the same page. Okay? So, are you ready to master the art of project planning? Let's go. Let's jump in. Okay, so where does our chapter 5 fit in the big picture? So kindly look at the diagram that you see on your screen right now. We are in the D1 or the define it phase. So this is where we lay the foundation with our stakeholders, strategy, and that crucial initial planning we just talked about. So everything starts here. Okay, so what are we going to master today? So three big things. First, you will learn how to define what is actually needed for initial planning. And here is the kicker. How to manage scope, meaning what is in your project and what is definitely out your project. So second, we will explore different planning approaches and what separates good planning from great planning. And finally, which is the fun part, you will learn to create a solid project outline by breaking it into stages, adding those crucial checkpoints we call gates, mapping your activities, and seeing the big picture. So by the end of this chapter 5, you will have a complete toolkit for a rock solid project planning. Okay, so now let us talk about something really fascinating. It is the dance between order and chaos in projects. So here's the thing. Excellent projects actually need both. Excellent projects needs both chaos and order. So think about writing a dissertation or developing a new product. Okay? I'd like you to think of it. You start with chaos, right? Brainstorming, exploring new ideas, letting creativity flow. Well, that is not just okay. It is essential. It is important. But here is the key. Chaos do actually comes first. Then you need order through systematic processes. Well, whether it is your personal project or even launching the next iPhone, you start with broad exploration, encourage crazy ideas, then filter them through smart criteria. Well, is it interesting? Is it feasible? Do we have the resources? The magic happens when you balance creative chaos with structured thinking. I want you to remember they are both vital, this chaos and order, but timing is everything. Okay, so let us dive into scope management, with three critical components you will use in your company projects. Okay? So first is the initiation. So this is your project's birth certificate. Okay? You need to nail down two things. Remember this: the project's reason and purpose. Why does this project need to exist? Okay? Is it solving our customer problem? Increasing profits? Then comes strategic alignment. So, does this project actually support your company's bigger goals? If your company focuses on sustainability but your project ignores environmental impact, you've got a mismatch, meaning your project is not effective, efficient, or directly saying it is not important for the company. So second is the scope plan. So here's where you build your project blueprint. Work breakdown structure means listing every single task, no matter how small. Okay, take note. That work breakdown structure, it means that you list every single task, no matter how small it is. I want you to think of it like building a house, okay? You don't just say build a house. You break it down, okay? You break it down from foundation, framing, electrical, plumbing, all those things. So product breakdown defines exactly what you are delivering. Features, specifications, quality standards. So be specific, okay? So third is the scope change control. It is your lifeline when chaos hits. Because as what we have said earlier, chaos is really part of this initiation planning. So you create a formal process for managing changes because someone will ask to do just one more thing. Okay. It means these questions. How will you evaluate requests? Who decides yes or no? How do you maintain project benefits when scope shifts? Without this, your project becomes a runaway train. So you really need all of these three principles. Okay, so now that we have defined our scope, let us talk about the planning process itself. And here is the million-dollar question. Sorry, how much planning is enough? Okay, we keep on asking this question if we are in the initial planning stage. We always ask as project managers or even with our staff, how much planning is enough? Okay, so every planning process has costs. You've got labor time, that is you and your team spending hours creating the plans. Planning tools, you use that, okay? For example, of planning tools, these are your software, your templates, even the meeting rooms. You also have these documentation costs. You have printing, binding, fancy presentations. And here is the big one, the opportunity costs. While you are planning, what else could your team be working on, right? But here is why planning pays off. First, you avoid chaos. Imagine launching your company project with no roadmap. Disaster, right? So second, it enables evaluation. So you can actually measure if you are succeeding or not. Okay? Third, you identify problems early. In this way, we are being proactive. So, it is, of course, identifying problems early is way better to catch issues in planning than during your execution stage, right? So, finally, it guides decision. So, finally, it guides decision making when things get messy. So now planning approaches, okay? We know everything works for routine projects, right? Think of McDonald's building another restaurant. So that's what we know everything, planning approaches, okay? The second approach is we know nothing. So this relies on basic milestones and hope. But you know what is the sweetest spot? Well, rolling wave planning. This is the detail in rolling wave planning detail increases, okay, as you get closer to deadlines. Okay? So you have to plan the next few weeks in detail. You have to keep the distant future very flexible. This balances certainty with flexibility. Okay, so now let us dive deep into project landscapes. This is where your company project really takes shape. Okay? Let us start with stages and gates. Think of gates like security checkpoints at an airport. But for your project, gates serve as checkpoints between phases where you literally stop and evaluate. Because there will be a lot of phases for your project. Let's say, for example, you have a total of 5 phases. So when you say gate, this is where, let's say, you are done with phase 1. There should be a gate before you proceed with with phase 2. Because the purpose is you have to evaluate the previous phase, the phase 1. Okay? Say, should we continue to the next phase or not? Should we continue to phase 2 or not? So that is the purpose of having a gate. Okay? You review progress against predetermined criteria and make critical go or no-go decisions. So here is why this matters. Because it prevents failing projects from consuming more resources. Okay? We don't like to consume more resources if especially is it is just a waste, okay, if it doesn't have a purpose at all, so we don't want to do that. Okay, remember, it is not failure to stop a project early. It is smart business because you see, oh no, it's not working, rather than you prolong the project and then you will incur a lot of costs. Okay? So that's why every gate in every phases is very important. You know, criteria must be established in advance. What does success look like at each gate? Right? So you have this criteria for every phases so that you will use the criteria for each of the gates. So you should have clear metrics that will prevent emotional decision making when things get tough. Okay? Because to be honest, as a project manager, if the project is getting tough or if we encounter chaos, sometimes we get too emotional. That's why it is hard for us to evaluate. So having clear metrics is very good because it will still lead you to success. Rather than if you will decide and you are very emotional, then it will lead you to failure because you're not thinking right already. Okay? So now activity organization. This is about how you sequence your work. Sequential activities means strict order. Okay? So finish A completely before starting with B, then finish B before starting with C. So that is what I mean with sequential activities. Okay? So think traditional assembly line where each station completes their work before passing it on. Okay? But concurrent activities sometimes or means there is overlapping. Let's say, for example, it is also possible you are doing activity A, but at the same time, you are doing B and C. Okay, so for example, what could be the good example? Like medical team. where the surgeon and anesthesiologist and nurses all work together at once. So they work simultaneously. Okay, so considerations for overlap are very crucial. Can your team research the market while designers create prototypes? So this dramatically impacts your timeline, but it requires intense communication. So everyone must stay synchronized during the simultaneous activity, or concurrent work becomes chaotic work. If the organization and clear communication is not conducted during this simultaneous activity. Okay, so finally, let us go to the process mapping tools. This is actually your project visualization. Okay, so the four fields mapping shows who does what task. Again, four fields mapping, it shows us who does the tasks. Okay, or who does what task, when they do it, and what standards apply. Now, for the deployment flow charting, it tracks how tasks flow between team members. Now, when we say work breakdown structure, it breaks massive projects into bite-sized, manageable pieces. When we say PID, or project initiation document, it shows us, or it formally captures the scope, the objectives, and the agreements. So these are not bureaucratic paperwork, okay? They are your project's navigation system, preventing confusion and ensuring accountability. Okay, so let us break down this PID, or project initiation document. Your project's complete blueprint with 10 essential components that will make or break your company project. So these 10 essential components is very important. Okay, so let's discuss these components one by one. Let's go first with your project brief. So the project brief, this actually captures your understanding of requirements. What problem are you solving? What does success look like? Okay, so that is project brief. Second is the team structure. So the team structure defines who is involved and the governance arrangements. So who makes your final decisions? Who has the authority? Okay. Now the third is the job descriptions. So it spells out specific roles for each team member. Okay. So what will marketing do versus finance versus operations? The job description. Okay. It is self-explanatory. Meaning, again, I repeat, what will marketing do versus the finance versus the operations? Okay, so you have to be detailed with the job description for each of the department, or for each of the members in the project team. Now the fourth is the project approach. It outlines how you will deliver. Okay, will you use phases, sprints, or other methods? Now the fifth is quality plan. So the quality plan, it ensures you deliver what is promised. Okay? What standards apply? What checks will you perform? So that's it. That's quality plan. The sixth one is the project plan. So the project plan, it shows major activities, their sequence and timeline. It is actually your roadmap from start to finish. Okay? Then the seventh one is the business case. In the business case, it actually evaluates costs versus the benefits of your project. Why should your company invest in this project? It must be shown in that part, in the business case. What is the return of this project? And then 8 is your risk log. So it means it identifies potential threats and your mitigation strategies. So you see, it is very proactive because we are already thinking of what could be the potential threats for this project. And if ever in the future we will encounter this kind of threat, what are we going to do? So we are very proactive. So what could go wrong and how will you handle it? Okay, so the ninth is the project controls. It answers how you will track progress. What metrics will you monitor? How often will you review? Okay, so that is project control. Now let's go to communication plan. This is the final part. So when you see communication plan, it actually determines what information flows to which stakeholders and when should it happen and in what format. Okay, so that is communication plan. Now, I'd like you to think of this PID as your project's constitution. When confusion or when disputes arise, you refer back to this PID document, okay? It prevents scope creep, it guides decision making, and it protects everyone involved. Without it, you are flying blind. So this PID is very important. All right, let us wrap up with the golden rules that separate amateur planners from the pros, okay? So these 10 best practices that you see on your screen right now will transform your company project from good to exceptional. So first it states balance creativity with structure. Okay, so you start with brainstorming chaos, encourage wild ideas, blue sky thinking, then apply systematic process in order to organize and filter. So do not strangle creativity with rigid rules too early. Okay, so second, get your stakeholder buy-in early. You have to make sure that before you're going to start the project, okay, you have to make sure that there is already a buy-in to the stakeholders or to everyone that has an interest to your project so that your project will run smoothly. Okay, so who are this? Your boss, your team members, your end users. They must believe in your project. Okay, now, you have to involve them from day one in planning, not just in execution part. So people support what they help create. Okay, remember that. Okay, do you follow? People actually support what they help create. So make them partners in design. Make them involved. The third one is your document scope. So you have to, to give a very clear document scope. You have to write down explicitly what you will do and what you absolutely will not or won't do. Okay? Remember, verbal agreements fade, interpretations differ, but written scope prevents future battles. So it's very important. Whatever you agreed on, it must be in black and white or it must be written. Okay? So that you will always have a document to go back in the future. So that is it. Now, the fourth one is you have to establish clear gates and criteria, right? Remember what I've said earlier. You have to define success metrics up front. At what point do you celebrate? Okay? It should be defined. When do you cut losses? It should be defined as well. And make these decisions when emotions are not clouding judgment. Okay? Now, fifth one is the plan for appropriate detail level. So do not micromanage every task. Goodness, that is very tiring. That will drain you. Okay? Do not micromanage every task. You have to use rolling wave planning. So meaning this is a detail, it means detail increases as deadlines approach, and that is normal. The sixth one is you consider concurrent activities strategically, okay? These are simultaneous activities. Can your team, let's say for example, can your team conduct market research while designers also create your prototypes? Is that possible? Intelligent overlapping saves precious time. And aside from time, it also saves cost. Okay, it saves your resources. The seventh is the use of visual tools for communication. So you have to utilize flowcharts, Gantt charts, and process maps. So these visuals will help us communicate faster and clearer than using dense text documents. It is very boring and tiring to read, right? Rather than having visual aids. And then the eighth is build in flexibility for changes. You know, to be honest, change is inevitable, okay? It is always possible to have change. So you have to design the project processes to handle modifications gracefully, okay? And ninth is focus on value-adding activities, okay? So constantly ask, does this task or activity actually move us toward our goal? Because maybe, or please let us not do it, this sometimes our activity is pointless, okay? It doesn't help us to move towards our goal. So we have to avoid that. And finally, you have to maintain traceability. You have to document decisions and their rationale. Okay? This saves you when stakeholder question choices months later. It is like you have to document everything. You have to put everything black and white. You have to put everything into writing. Okay? Okay. So let us bring everything together. Okay? So here is what you have mastered today that will revolutionize your company projects. So first, initial planning sets the foundation for project success. I want you to think of it as building your project's DNA. Okay? Everything that follows depends on getting this right. Remember, poor initial planning creates problems that compound throughout your project lifecycle. Second, you need balance between creativity and structure. So you have to start with creative chaos to generate innovative solutions. Then you apply systematic structure to organize and execute. Both elements are vital, okay? Creativity without structure leads to confusion. Structure without creativity leads to boring, predictable outcomes. Okay, so third, we have talked about this scope management. It's very important to prevent project drift. So by clearly defining the boundaries, says like what is in your project and what is not included in your project, it will help you to prevent the dangerous scope creep that kills budget and timelines. Remember that saying no to some things enables you to say yes to the right things. Okay? So it's very important. Next is your planning process should add value, not just consume time. Every hour spent on planning should save multiple hours during execution by preventing chaos and enables you to have smart decisions. And the fifth one are the gates. Well, it is very crucial because it provides crucial control points wherein you pause, you evaluate, and decide whether to continue or not. So these are not just bureaucratic hurdles, they are your project's safety net. Okay? And the sixth is and the sixth one is process mapping, which aids communication by making invisible workflows visible. So when everyone can see the big picture, coordination improves dramatically. And of course, finally, the PID, which it formalizes project initiation. Okay? PID formalizes project initiation, creating your project's constitution that actually guides decisions and prevents disputes. So now, with all those that we have discussed in the chapter 5 theory about initial planning, so now you are ready to tackle any company project with confidence. Okay, so that's a wrap on chapter 5. You have mastered the art of initial planning from chaos to order, scope to gates, and everything in between. So now go out there and plan like pros. You plan like real project managers. Okay, I want you to remember, good planning today prevents poor performance tomorrow. Okay, so see you on our next class.